Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah.
Travis is already sitting here trying to fire a coach.
No, I'm not. Listen.
What was the question?
Listen.
Travis asked me just a minute ago.
All I did was ask Jay a question. I said that the Browns' bye week is week 5. If the Browns so happen to be 1-3 or 0-4 going into the bye week, is that grounds for exposure?
G?
Well, you know.
Because you're saying they got a 6-game
You
lead.
got a 6.
I know a lot of people said
games.
6. I was just asking a
0-4
question.
is problematic.
Okay. 0-4.
Listen, the first 4 games is not no cakewalk.
Oh, no, listen.
What is it, Cincy,
No,
the
4 or
Bengals?
5 are home, but they're all tough.
Exactly.
Well, listen, I have a new sense of optimism going into these games now, and I'll tell you what we're going to get into because
of Za'Darius Smith?
I'm feeling real confident about myself.
I think everyone is right now.
It was borderline cocky, so listen, trust me.
I know you don't throw the 4-0 out there.
Listen,
I don't need you doing that just yet.
I felt so good. I bought the sheets of integrity.
He feels so good, he's calling 5-0 after week 4. He's down to 5-0.
The knees.
The knees is moving. Oh, it's the big one.
Boogie's here. Boogie, good to see you again.
Thank y'all for having me.
You're regular now. You're once a week, right?
Did I tell you pull up a chair and I'm here? So I'm here every week. Got to meet my guy Travis, so it's a blessing.
You guys hadn't met yet, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
You got to stop beating up these other guests in the parking lot. If somebody said you hiding people, you're knocking them out in the parking lot. Say, you ain't going to UCSS. I got that spot today. Boogie is with a ski mask.
He's the gatekeeper. No one gets out without Boogie saying they get on.
I love this place. I look forward to coming here every week.
Good, man. We're glad you do.
If I got to kidnap a couple people to keep my seat, I'll do what I got to do. So it is what it is.
Desperate times, bro. Okay, Bulls out. We got to do Bulls bet. You want to do that right away?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have it?
Speaking of kidnapping, I kidnapped McNuggets, locked him in the bunker, said I'm going to be producer today.
I'm going to get my shot.
You know, McNuggets, when he gets back tomorrow, guys, we got to give him a hard time. He was in Myrtle Beach for an extended weekend, and he sent a text to the group chat, I don't know, Saturday maybe?
Wow.
Right hand to God, man. I'm not kidding. I just got recognized in South Carolina.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Hey, McNugget, Mama, I made it. It's like, I guess that's what it feels like when your song is on the radio,
One
right?
of your high school classmates.
Really?
Yeah. He said this guy that came up to him, he goes, what in the hell is McNuggets doing in Myrtle Beach?
That's crazy.
And he said that he went to high school with G. Bush.
I
That's
wonder how
crazy,
it
bro.
feels for the rest of his time for right now. He'll be McNuggets, not Mike.
I know.
McNuggets
Forever.
You know what I call him, but we'll go with McNuggets.
Yeah, let's go with McNuggets. What's funny is, like, when he is recognized outside of Cleveland, it's McNuggets.
Yeah, I asked him about. I said like when you go out with like girls or not. Well, he's in a relationship now, so he ain't got to worry about it. But like,
Did he give you the go ahead to give that information on national
is that
television?
privy?
too bad I didn't.
So if he don't show up tomorrow, we know why. He
Yeah,
asked for another
exactly.
bet.
My fault. But I said it, so I might as well go ahead with it now.
Double down,
I was
right?
saying that when he's out.
The double down is
Let me show you some pictures of Mikey and the new girl.
No, because I said if this one of the things that get real serious is like, say in a couple of years they got married, would they be Mr. and Mrs. McNuggets?
Yes.
I like that.
They
Yeah,
would,
no, they'd
like-
be a two-piece.
Yes.
Exactly.
They'd just be a two-piece.
You know what? What kind
And
of
then,
sauce, Jay?
and then when the first baby's born, they'd be a three-piece.
He's McNuggets.
How many sauces come with a two-piece, Jay?
Spicy. Straight spicy.
Spicy sriracha.
All right, what's Bulls bet before we go too far down another rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get to it. And
Yeah.
every time we get the Bulls Better Today, it's brought to you all by Bet Rivers. Hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game. Now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook. When you enter deposit code SPORTS, you'll receive a second chance bet up to $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball, hockey, to help you win big. Check out BetRivers.com or download the BetRivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts.
And what do we got today? What's his bet today?
The Reds.
Well, Reds minus 120 at the Rockies.
They beat the Miami.
That's a good bet. I like that bet. I don't know what the starting pitching necessarily matchup is. I'm sure that's what
Miami
Bull.
twice.
I had a friend call me Saturday who was pissed at Bull, man. He said, I got to jump on this Bull train because he's so red hot on baseball.
And of course, that's the
he
time he
lost.
doesn't win.
He lost on Friday.
Hey, man, I hope you didn't put too much down, bro. You got to, it's training wheels on these bets. You
Yeah.
got to put 50 cents.
It's money you can afford to lose.
50
That's what it is.
50 cents.
Don't put no money, like Drake said. Hey, never lend nobody no money you need right back.
No, I got a homie that bet. He put 50 cents, and if he would have won the bet, it would have got him 86,000. Now the parlay was like 20 legs. Or
Yeah,
something
I've got a friend that does that every day. If he can take 25, he takes 25. He hit a 31K last year.
What?
He's been one pick from 3 different 30,000 plus paydays. One of them was 55,000. One game. The one that he
that's the
just
one- that
missed,
makes me
he
sick.
bet $1. It was 24 or 25 that night. All Clay Thompson had to do was hit 3 3-pointers, and he would have made 85,000 or something
made
like that.
2, didn't he?
He hit 2 and rimmed one out late.
Here's what we're gonna do.
I would
I'm gonna start one of those slush funds.
That's the way to play it, guys. $1 big parlay bet.
I'm bad at that.
That's the way to do it. It's $1
25
a
legs.
day.
25 legs.
It's $1 a day.
25.
Well,
That's
not always 25. That's
to get
tough.
80 Ooh,
But
wait.
he goes 15. He goes 20. He really when he starts feeling bad about any of the bets, he slams it down.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I mean, he doesn't do anything that he
Pull the
doesn't
bet.
think can certainly hit. But
he has a method to his madness.
he has a method. He knows baseball and NBA as well as anybody I know.
Apparently, he don't. Bull don't, because he listens
How many
to Bull
times
the
did he-
most.
No, he's a different guy, different friend that listens to Bull.
Oh, okay. I'm about to
Now, did he win? Did he win within his first year?
He won within his first 3 weeks. So last year he
better.
bet, I think it was at 20 or an 18 or a 20 parlay, and he hit on $1, hit 31,000. This year he's been one bet shy of hitting 3 that would have been bigger than 30,000. And he sends me his tickets every day and he videotapes it. So I know these are legit bets that he's placing, and I'm able to track them in real time as he is.
I need this.
And I can't
So
get
just
past
go
the first
$1 a
leg in
day
my
with a
parlay.
big parlay.
Yeah,
Tell him to give
I
him
like
my
that.
number and tell him let me roll with him.
What-
Well,
Send
so
me-
what I'm
send me
doing
his
this year,
ticket.
what I'm doing is I said double up, make it 2, because I ain't got time to mess with that stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
You get the other $1 of the
I
bet?
said double it up, and I'll pay you at the end of the year for all of my bets, win or lose. But he said, oh, you won't owe me anything.
He go hit
You'll
it.
get a big check. I will hit one between now and the rest of the year. I will hit one. He's been so close.
Tell
Where is he trying to triple it up?
I'm about to say, tell him to
trying to
triple up.
triple
I
it
got
up?
a dollar
We could say go 5 individuals and roll.
I sure got
two,
a dollar
three.
for
You know what? We're going to throw G in there, too. So just tell
Put him in there,
all 4 of us.
$5. $5.
Hey, this
Five for McNuggets wedding for Little McNuggets.
This is cause for the NBA, college basketball. Hold me back on the bench. Hold me back.
That is.
Hold me back.
Slam dunk competition.
Whoa!
Slam dunk
Hold me
contest.
back. Hold me back.
I was wondering why he was gripping my shirt. I'm like, what's going on, G? You good?
Anyhow, yeah, we encourage you to bet responsibly.
Yes.
Go ahead. And by the way, if you didn't know, Earl is in for McNuggets today. Earl, it's always good to have you in the chair.
It's always good to have you in the chair as well.
How we doing?
I'm
Good?
feeling good, man. How
Good.
You?
Great.
That was good.
Ready
Mother's
for a
Day
new
the
week.
Family was great.
Mother's Day was awesome. Mother's Day was great. Traveled to Sandusky, took Mom out to a beautiful brunch. 83 years old, still kicking it. She's something else.
That's a beautiful thing.
She's something else, man.
Well, before we get started, man, thanks Boogie for stopping in. Thanks to USFL for landing us Boogie today. And as always, USFL is it was back since April, so make sure you go out to celebrate. You'll get free T-shirts, free rally towels for the whole family.
Wow.
Great seats start at just $10, so buy your tickets today at USFL.com. Jay, what was it, late Friday? I waked up, my phone
Yeah.
was going crazy. The Browns made a huge trade.
I was stunned. I got to tell you, I thought that they were set at the defensive line. We had talked about that on the show.
No.
I thought if they were going to make a move, it would be for the middle of that. They have completely devalued the linebacker position.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't. They're like,
it's not-
wait, we need linebackers.
It's
They'll be
not.
good.
It's not devalued.
They are.
I think what it is they really believe that the players that they got actually have value. I mean, because
they think that maybe by strengthening the front line.
They think that the linebackers looked so bad last year because the defensive line, which I came here and said that. I said it's hard for an undersized linebacker to get off blocks or make plays when the line or D tackles is getting blown back in their face and they're reaching them.
So you think they think that they're okay if you have a strong line up front?
Well, I mean, for today's NFL, you go with the smaller linebacker because you need them more in pass coverage. You need them to get in their zones, hit that 10 to 12-yard mark in that hook drop and make plays.
Right.
So they think now that we got a stronger D-line, the offensive line won't reach those guys. They'll be free-flowing to the ball, and they'll make the play.
Boogie, you ever play for undersized linebackers that whispered in your ear, can you start doing your job so we don't have to take on the full force of this offense?
Not undersized linebackers, but his point holds true. Me playing defensive line, I know it's our job to keep our linebackers clean.
Right.
And if we're getting blown off the ball into their laps, that's making everything harder for them. The linebacker job is already tough in itself.
Right.
You don't want 300-plus pound people getting blown back to you. So their thought process is if we can just improve the front.
Fortify the front.
Which you see them doing by getting Smith in.
You've automatically made your linebackers better.
Yes.
Automatically, just by adding him, makes their job easier. So I think that's their thought process. Add up front, and then the back end will be better.
I'm feeling better about this. I've got a big one up front telling me that's how it works. I got a safety back there telling me that's how it works. G. Bush, you triple what they're saying?
Man, I triple, quadruple what they're saying right
nice.
now, man. Listen.
17-0, baby.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to
like you feeling them.
I'm trying to calm. I'm cramping in this knee, right? I'm cramping right here. But I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to stay cool for about 5 more minutes. But I'm going to tell you what. The Za'Darius Smith pick right here, it just put the Browns D-line on another level. Why I'm so excited about this move is this was a position of need, and I've never seen a person flip a position of need like this into not only a serviceable line, not only a good line, but this is an elite line now.
This is strength now.
This is elite. We have never seen another end. No disrespect to Clowney, but the disrespect is real. No disrespect to Emmanuel Ogba. All those. This is the best dude that we have had opposite of Myles Garrett, and I'm almost tired of saying opposite of Myles Garrett. Now you got defensive alignment in waves and rotations, and this is giving me the level of confidence to not only say that the Cleveland Browns will get what I thought was 11-6. I think the Cleveland Browns going with this move right here, I no longer look at on the schedule and say, oh, can we win or lose that game? If Deshaun Watson plays the way he is supposed to with these acquisitions on defense, with the new receiving core, every single game, the Cleveland Browns, you should expect when you go to the stadium, when you watch on TV, that your Cleveland Browns have a chance to win that game against anybody. That was not the case
sat
before.
there in that chair Friday and said, and look, as a Bengals fan, I feel really good knowing, I'm not saying they're going to win 17 games, but he said what you just said. There's nobody on our schedule we can't beat.
Yeah.
Do you think that's Tyvis?
I think that holds weight what he's saying. I think to me, what this move did to me is, the pressure now, outside of Deshaun, because if Deshaun doesn't play well, then it's all smoke.
He is still the elixir here.
But outside of him, the secondary. This secondary they don't do a great job of getting picks. We got G. New, who's yet to have his first career pick. Denzel is more of a pass breakup guy.
Right.
Grant Delpit actually did really well getting picks at the end of the season. And now you added a Juan Thornhill, who's a post safety that does get picks. I think with the pressure of this D-line now, that ball's coming out. It's got to come out. So now these corners and these DBs can be more confident in sitting on routes, jumping routes, and now they can play off the ball and know that the ball has to come out in a timely manner. They jumped the route. Now you're getting takeaways. Now you're getting Deshaun the ball back. Now Deshaun's getting that rust off even at a rapid pace.
Right.
Now before the bye week, he does look like Houston Deshaun again because now he has those reps. I think it was about improving that defense, getting the ball back to the offense, because with the offense, with Kevin Stefanski's in his right mind and he's on the road, because I've seen it. I've actually been in games against Kevin Stefanski where he's on the road. He can make that thing go. He can score some points.
Boogie, the logic here is it all starts up front.
Yeah.
I'm looking at what Jim Schwartz did in Philly last year, and it looks like he's trying to recreate the same thing here. The idea is if you've got 3 good pieces up front, that's fine, but 6 is even better. The whole idea is it's almost the way baseball players or pitchers now are used. You know, you work until you're tired, and then you come out, and then we bring in a fresh arm. It's almost like he's trying to do in Cleveland what he did in Philly last year, which helped get them to a Super Bowl. Is that the way you see it?
Absolutely. I always, like I told G, the pass rush and the pass coverage works in tandem. They go together. The pass rush is doing well. The ball comes out quick. I expect a lot more turnovers in the back end. And when your first unit is dominant and they come out on a bad team, the drop-off is noticeable. But now with 6 great pieces, the first unit can go out, take 3-4 snaps, and then that second unit comes in and there's no drop-off. That's the telling of a great team, and I believe that that's what you're going to see this year. That's why Jim Schwartz is a huge addition to this defense, trying to replicate what he did in Philadelphia. And I think now this last piece, Adam Smith, that was the final piece he needed. Because at first we thought Obo was going to have to step up and put up numbers that he never put up before. We were hoping and wishing that he had a career year.
Now he's just another piece.
Opposite of Jadeveon Clowney. Now we bring in Smith. We know what he's done. He has a track record of double-digit sack seasons.
3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
10
so now that you can move Obo as that rotational D and that third D in, it's going to be amazing.
I think this is the wave of it's a copycat league. We know that. We know when Belichick started playing double tight ends and the athletic tight ends, the whole league morphed into that because he won rings with it. Now it seems like the it thing in the NFL is to get that defensive line to a spot where you're just coming at the opposition with waves of fresh legs. Tyvis, G, do you think that this is going to be the way NFL defenses are built going forward?
Of course. They've been doing this going back. I mean, this is early 2000s. They wanted to.
But didn't Philly take it to a totally different level last year?
They took it crazy. Like they got all these dudes getting 10 sacks. They had 7, 8 guys getting 10 sacks. That's ridiculous. And the crazy part about it is those were D tackles. These are if you get 10 sacks as a D tackle, that's really like 15, 16, because you getting touched by everybody. A third eye by the guard. The center is touching you. You're getting chipped. And they not going, and that's after you got to earn the right to rush the passer. So that means you got to get off blocks in the first part of the series when it's first and second down. So what they doing right now is they stacking levels, and now the games can come. One thing about Za'Darius Smith is he's devastating inside. He's devastating. His best work is over interior guys, and he's just too skilled. You see him swatting hands and getting to the side. He's rushing the edge. Guards can't quick set on him. It's just like, it's devastating. And when you got a guy like that in a quick twitch type scheme, now you can't go ahead. If you want to put Myles Garrett over there all the time, like go ahead over there. Like, Za'Darius Smith is not going to sit up here and tell you, like Jadeveon Clowney, they trying to scheme Myles Garrett open. He going to sit up here and say, well, listen, I feel I'm just as good as Myles Garrett. I feel like I'm just one of the best defensive ends and pass rushers in the game. So now that mindset, and I love it from this perspective, the young OG, Ogbo, listen, he thought he was going to come in and this was his opportunity to start. Now, guess what? It could still be his opportunity to start.
Yeah.
Because now look at this depth. Look at guys now rotating. Look at guys now competing. Hey, Hill and Hurst might not be, I don't know who's going to play, but now you got an opportunity to say, you're going to fight it out. This ain't no more camp cupcake. When you look at the wide receiver room and you look at the defensive line room, there are slim pickings when it comes to these roster spots.
Competition usually leads to success. I'm wondering how, and I know you guys are on the defensive side, but I'm wondering how mentally taxing it is as an offensive lineman who's putting his hand down every single play, and he's looking across him, and in a normal boxing match, it's like a boxing match, but in the third round, you're going to see another opponent.
Yeah.
And in the fourth round, you're going to see a different opponent. And in the fifth round, it might be the one that you saw in the first round again. As a boxer, you got to be like, wait a minute. I'm doing every rep, and you're doing half the reps. I've got no chance.
That's what makes it so interesting, because now as a tackle, these guys, listen, there's 5 positions that you have to have on your team. Obviously, number 1 is quarterback, left tackle, D-end, corner, wide receiver. Those are like the 5 most important positions on the team. When you look at the left tackle in this situation, obviously they'll be going against Myles or Za'Darius Smith. You know, they have a certain set of moves. Myles get off the ball faster than a lot of people, so I got to get out of my kick slide. That first kick slide got to open up wide, or if not, he's gone.
Yeah.
If that's the case, now you gotta go with 007 comes in here. Maybe he's a spin move guy. So it's like now I got to know how to play each different guy because each different guy has a move that works. He might be a bully guy. He might be a finesse guy.
So there's a mental
About the third or fourth quarter. If you ain't a vet in this league, if you ain't Joe Thomas, it's going to get rough.
I said something. I'm glad you pointed that out. I sent something to Earl this morning, and it showed just the array of moves that Za'Darius Smith had. It was on Twitter. The Orange Brown report had it, and when you look at the way that he is beating these guys, he could beat you with speed, he could beat you with power, he could beat you inside, he could beat you outside. He's able to rush in all these different lanes, and now what you set up is packages where now if you can get a guy in third and long and third in more than 10 yards, now look what you're able to do. Look at some of this stuff right here. He's on the right hand side. Now Boogie, this is clinic tape right here. Look, swat and swim, get off me. I'm getting home. I'm running the hoops and getting by him. And you talked about that ball had to come out quick, tackle him for no gain. Now you look at him right now. Look at the power. Transition into power. Bull rush, right in the backfield, boom.
Jeez.
This guy, and he closes with impunity. He ain't walking around. There he is at the top of your screen on the left-hand side. His hands is tremendous.
Turn the toe.
Good quickness, too.
And he's finishing. So when you look at these plays and you talk about what Za'Darius Smith has done, he has now set the Cleveland Browns up. So now it's just not a Deshaun Watson thing. Now it's just not a Nick Chubb thing. It's just not an Amari Cooper thing, because when you was coming in trying to play him, we got to stop Amari Cooper. We got to stop Nick Chubb. We got to stop Myles Garrett. They just added another person that you got a game plan
You
against.
got to stop this
No,
kid.
it's-
Got
got a game plan against this guy.
The way this roster looks, it should be a competition. It shouldn't be worried about who on the schedule. You know what? The offense should be like, we got to outshine our defense today. And the defense should be like, listen, we know y'all came to see Deshaun and all that, but we here we want to be the ones to make the
Boogie,
fans
are we
stand.
overly excited here for one? I mean, you can smell the enthusiasm here. Is this warranted?
I don't know what's in the air today, but you guys, this is the most excited I've seen you. I think the 3 or 4 times I've been here. Like,
So is it warranted,
Or is it
are
Kool-Aid?
we
It's a Kool-Aid.
are we knee jerking right
no,
now?
ain't no Kool-Aid. This is warranted.
This is the real deal.
This is warranted because
See,
this
now
is a pass.
I like that because that's
Yeah.
kind of an outsider. That's
Yeah.
not a guy that's
Yeah.
a Browns homer that's going to come in here and.
No, because this is a pass-happy league. Like Travis said, quarterback, left tackle, DN. Now you have 2 of the top 7 DNs in the NFL.
Yeah.
Your book ends. So the excitement is warranted. I'm super excited. I anticipate double-digit sacks for both of these guys. I remember I came here about 2 weeks ago and we were like, who's going to be that? Can a Browns guy get 10 sacks? It hasn't happened since. Nobody besides Davion Clowney. We were scrambling. We were like, maybe hoping and wishing somebody will have a career year. Now we know somebody's going to have double-digit sacks opposite of Jadeveon Clowney, so it's warranted.
What's weird for me is, and I kind of was pumping my own brakes on Saturday as I'm thinking about this. I'm like, how can I think this is the most significant move the Browns have made in the offseason.
Yes.
And we're talking about some serious free agent signings and the draft.
This the biggest name.
I feel
they've
like
got.
this is the biggest move they've made this offseason.
As far as
right?
names go, I guess productivity as well. Because like I said, every move they've made hasn't been a big name guy, but the productivity that they bring is there. But with Za'Darius Smith, he got the name and you know what he's about. Like I said, that right there changes the energy. They're definitely giving Jim Schwartz what he needs to be a great defense in this league this year. And I'm just happy about the culture. You know, we was talking about Jadeveon not playing on third down. I don't think with Jim Schwartz you even gonna have that conversation. I'm only gonna play on third down. Like I don't think that's the thing he's gonna let fly. I think that's why I said the biggest move that they've made so far this offseason has been getting Jim Schwartz and Bubba Ventrone, because they're gonna change the culture that was already once there.
I tell you what, Jay. I got so excited I had to print some stuff out.
Yeah, you know you're excited when the print.
The printer working. It's in color too. Y'all see it's in color? I say go ahead and waste it a little bit. Don't even worry. I got color. I got the ink. Don't worry about it.
This move is worth it.
This move is worth it. Now listen, 82 overall on the PFF grade. Now listen, I'm gonna throw a couple things out here. On run defense, he's only got a 70 score, right? However, if you look at that 70 grade, look at what we had before. We was down in the 30s, 40s, 50s. And I believe when you're playing against a guy or playing with guys like Myles Garrett, you can ramp that up because now he's getting double teamed more than anybody in the league. And now that means you are singled up. 84.7 pass rush grade is one I really like. And I look at it just not the sacks. 10 sacks is cool. That's awesome. The 28 solos is great. But take a look at, we talked about the front and the secondary is married together, right? Look at the pressures. He had 10 sacks. He had 53 hurries, 15 hits on a QB for a total of 78 pressures. Now think about that. 78 pressures just coming from that guy. Not to mention what Myles Garrett bringing to the table.
And he's going to be single team.
And he going to be single.
You can't let Myles get the single. That's just not going to happen. That's not. So it's even going to be worse because Myles is still getting double teamed, and you might have to swing that back over there to pick up a third. So if this man is one-on-one, and you got the Tomlinson coming in, come on, man.
It's either
Come
that.
on, come on.
It's either that or it's going to be a lot of three-man route concepts.
Going to be a lot of quick
Because they're going to be leaving the tight end
Max Pro.
and the back checking. So now you only got 3 receivers with 7 defenders
And
back
that
there.
limits
So
what you can do in the passing
So
game.
now
for
you
sure.
need those
now you have
quick
to
linemen.
now you have to pick your poison. So
Especially against Cincinnati, a team that can come at you with waves of wide receivers and an accurate quarterback. You could change the way you beat really good teams is take away what they do best. And I think what Cincinnati does best is that pro set offense where they've got a lot of wide receivers running some pretty complicated and downfield routes. If they're getting home quick, that changes what Cincinnati wants to do. That gives you a better chance of being successful. Earl has something for us.
Yeah, so I had a question for you all. We're all talking about what he brings on the football field, and I think that's great. But we've had plenty of conversations on this show about the Browns lacking that alpha dog in the locker room.
Right.
Did the Browns finally get their alpha
I'm glad you
dog
brought
in
that up.
Za'Darius Smith?
And I don't know enough about him to say that with any certainty. I just know that when I watch him play, he's a guy that jumps off. Do you guys know, is he that guy that's going to fire and brimstone and be a guy that they can rally around?
I can't speak on him being the alpha male like yourself said because I don't know him personally.
Right.
So I can't speak on if he's that guy, if that's
Right.
his personality. But I will say he brings confidence to the group. He brings a proven track record. He adds competition to the group. So that'll just improve the group in itself like that. I can't speak on alpha male, but just all those other things that I said that he brings to that D-line room.
Yeah.
He brings a guy that when he stands up and talks, you listen. Because you want to get to where he's getting to.
And that's what they need.
He's a pro. He's been to Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
He's had double-digit sacks, and there's certain guys, young guys in that room that haven't reached that level yet.
Right.
So I would be sitting next to him trying to pick his brains. Like,
Yes.
every day, can we go out to practice early?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's going to make
Tyvis, have you played with anybody that's played with him? Did you get any kind of report from any of your former buddies telling you this is the kind of guy he is?
No, I haven't actually. But the thing about the alpha dog thing and the alpha male on the defense that they need, again, I said they've addressed that already. Jim Schwartz is the alpha dog.
Yeah,
guy
but don't
that
you
they
have
need.
to have one
You
in the
have
huddle
to have
too?
some, but it starts at the top.
Okay,
It starts
okay.
with the coaching, sets the culture. He sets what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And I think Za'Darius Smith he's a pro guy. The dude's a pro. So he's gonna come in there. He look like he ain't a nonsense guy. I mean, obviously coming into this, I think they got a bunch of guys that they don't seem like they talk a lot, but they all very productive on the field. So I think they're all about their business. You know, you think about last year when J3 came out and said, guys leave this facility and they just don't care about football anymore. They go home and that's it. They do their work here and then they go home and there's no extra studying. I think with these guys, they got a bunch of pros in there, a bunch of vets that understand what it takes to be great. And that right there is what you need to change the culture to begin with. So I think that's where we'll see the change
All
on
right,
the field
so
as well.
it comes from the top at the coach.
Yeah.
I think he brings what it takes. Jay, I think he plays violent. I was watching, trying to get a little take on his attitude and what he's like. So they got the NFL Top 100. I think a year ago he came in at number 51 on the NFL Top 100 players, and they went and talked about how this dude is he plays violent, he plays fast, He plays aggressive. And the fact that he's sitting there saying, he told himself, like, look, I'm trying to be defensive player of the year. Like, when you go back and watch this man's tape and what he was doing, go back just a couple of years ago at Green Bay when he had a little bit of a coming out party. 2019, 13 and a half sacks. 2020, 12 and a half sacks, right? You look at it and you still think about it. He almost had, when you talk about 45 solo tackles for a total of 55 tackles when you combine his total and his regular tackles. The crazy part about this is he missed all of 2021 with a back injury. And if there's any one knock on him,
yeah, that's the fear.
That's the fear. He's a little older. He's 30.
I think he's 30.
30 plus is in like 6 months, I think. So I think during the season he'll be 31.
I had a buddy tell me once, backs don't get better.
No, they don't. Trust me.
I don't know how true that is.
Listen, I'll tell you, I had a couple of them surgeries. They do not get better.
Well,
and when it comes to bending and he plays so violently, it puts him in that position. I was talking to Matthew Collar. He covers the Minnesota Vikings, and he said during the first part of the season, he was the NFL Defensive Player of the Month, and he was unblockable for the first half of the season.
Last year?
Last year.
Who you talking about?
Za'Darius Smith.
Oh, okay.
And so what happened was he had 8.5 or 9 of those sacks within the first half of the year.
Oh, really?
Production fell off at the second part of the year.
Didn't fall off. It fell off a cliff.
1.5 sacks in the last half of last year.
Why? Because he was hurt?
Because he was dinged up. He had a little knee injury.
Well, then, if that's the case, then that explains why they brought in
Of course.
all those younger guys.
Of course.
Right.
So we're going to use you sparingly. We got somebody. Instead of going every down, we got somebody that can come in and still be productive.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so when people say, "Oh, well, he's coming in and starting," that might not necessarily be true. Like, Ogbo might be the guy who's going to start off. But for what they got him for what they did and what they lost, this is a home run because, once again, they're hedging their bets everywhere, right? Young, free agents, signing trades, all that good stuff.
I just like
they get them from everywhere.
I just like the fact that they finally listened to us and decided to get some veterans in there.
There you go.
mean, the whole team last year was pretty young, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I kept saying lack of leadership, not a lot of experience out there outside of Myles. You know,
Not
got
the case this coming
and they
season.
got a bunch of guys that's been here in this league for a while.
Earl has a read, and then we're going to bring in Mary Kay Cabot.
Yeah, before we bring in what I call the GOAT, I want to let you all know that this next segment of the show is brought to you by Lorain County Community College. Your classes, your future. Register now for summer and fall classes. Learn more at lorainccc.edu. And we bring in Cleveland.com Browns beat reporter Mary Kay Cabot.
Mary Kay, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing great. How you doing?
We're just trying to temper our enthusiasm on the Za'Darius Smith acquisition here. I don't know how much of our excitement you were able to pick up on, but is it warranted? Is it over the top? This guy seems to be one of the missing pieces that Jim Schwartz's defense really needed.
Yeah, you know what? Just about a week before this, I had written that they needed and that they were looking for a veteran pass rusher. So I knew they were in the market. They were really looking very hard at Melvin Ingram. And, he was somebody that they came close to. They came close to actually making an offer to, and they were working on a contract structure when the Za'Darius thing kind of came back to life on Tuesday or Wednesday. But I think the excitement is warranted. It needs to be tempered just a little tiny bit because of some of the things that I heard you guys talking about right before I came on. He did have some minor injuries last year, a knee contusion, then he missed most of 2021 with a back injury that required surgery. So these things have to be tempered. The enthusiasm needs to just be brought down just a notch. But when healthy, he is dynamite. And I think he's going to be an amazing, amazing complement to Myles Garrett. And, I wrote a column on Saturday. Yeah, I wrote a column on Saturday about, what does this trade mean for Myles Garrett and Obo? And, I kind of really went into depth about how Jim Schwartz will use all these guys and use his rushers. And it really doesn't take a lot of reps away from Obo at all. He looks at the pass rush group globally And now he's got 3 top rushers that he can divide up about 130 reps among. And then if you mix Dalvin Tomlinson in there into that rush group, then you're dividing it up 4 ways, but you're going to roll these guys in, you're going to keep them fresh, and one way or another, they were going to go out and get another veteran edge.
Mary Kay, when you look at the obviously the D-line is strengthened and the secondary is a strong point. When you look at the linebackers, all of them coming off of injuries, is that something that you think they'll address, or do you think they're totally comfortable rolling out there with those 3 linebackers that they have?
Well, the marquee position on Jim Schwartz's defense is that defensive line. So they have put their money there. They've put all of their resources there. They're hoping that their linebackers come back healthy, because if they do come back healthy, and they fully expect them to, then those guys can do the job that they need them to do. They don't need them to be the superstars. They need them to sort of clean up what doesn't happen in front of them. And so I think that's kind of the philosophy. And that was always the philosophy of Andrew Berry too. I mean, these guys don't go out and, and spend, big, huge bucks on linebackers. So, maybe they'll add another one here or there. But I don't think you'll see them give up, some big name veteran player that they currently have on the team to bring in another linebacker. I think they feel pretty set, providing those guys come back healthy.
Mary Kay, what is the timetable on some of the linebackers? I think all of them ended the season either injured or on injury reserve. Sione Takitaki, he got injured. It may be a little bit before we see him. Anthony Walker also has the quad injury, or I don't know how far along he is. You had Phillips and as well as JOK. Do you expect those guys to be fully ready to go during training camp day 1, or is there a couple guys that they'll bring along a little slower?
I think there are a couple of guys that they will bring along slowly during training camp. In fact, I think they'll bring a lot of them along very slowly during training camp. So you might not see these guys practice every single day. You might not see, Sione and JOK practice every day, even Anthony Walker. I mean, JOK is coming off of a mid-foot sprain, and that, that's something to, to have to grapple with as well. So I think these guys will take it easy during training camp. I think to a certain extent, they'll take it easy in the preseason games. But the method to the madness there is to get them to the season healthy. And I think most of them should be about ready to start the season.
Mary Kay, empty your notebook on the rookie minicamp here. What stood out? What has the guys excited? What can you tell us?
Well, let's start with some of the bigger name guys. I mean, Cedric Tillman, he 100% passed the eyeball test. I mean, you stand there, you talk to him, he just looks the part. He's got that Josh Gordon type of build. He's in shape, he's physical, he's big, he's muscular, and, he's going to be that, go down, high point the ball and win that contested catch type of guy. And then, we saw him in camp. He had a few moments here and there where he didn't catch something. He got really mad at himself at those times. And that's good. That's what you want to see in rookie mini camp. But for the most part, he displayed really good hands. He has already natural chemistry with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who I thought showed a lot of poise. I mean, when you start for 5 seasons at UCLA, you've played a lot of football. You come in, not looking, there are some rookie quarterbacks that come into the NFL and they've started 15 games. This guy's got a lot of football under his belt. And, you can see out there that the moment is not going to be too big for him. So those 2 guys look pretty good together. They're great friends from their high school days in Las Vegas. Then Dawand Jones. Dawand, he struggled on the first day. He really did. He had a rough first day. We all saw him throw up out there, and, that was a little bit concerning. But, then I watched him on the second day that we were allowed out there on Saturday, and he pulled himself together. And, he should not have been as tuckered out on the first day as he was, because, I mean, this is not a grueling practice by any stretch of the imagination. Now, it was hot, and so I think he was affected by the heat, and that's something they're going to have to watch, and something they'll have to, kind of keep an eye on down in at the the Greenbrier for the first 10 days of camp. He's going to have to be ready to go for that because it's going to be hot down there. And so he struggled a little bit in that muggy heat on Friday. But he pulled it back together. Enormous man. I mean, he's just a big man. He took good coaching from Bill Callahan. I watched him get better over the span of 2 days. I watched him try really hard and put his heart and soul into it. So I think he's going to be interesting to watch come along over the next couple of years.
I'm wondering. We had I think it was Hayden Grove tweeted on Friday that actually Thompson was actually a starter at wide receiver over Cedric Tillman in high school. Is that true? And if that is true, is there any thought that maybe they might have kind of a hybrid, sort of a Cordell Stewart slash type, where they might look at him even as a wide receiver if he's got that background?
Well, I mean, you never know. These guys really love versatility, and if you can contribute on the football field in any way, shape, or form, then they will give you some things to do. I mean, a pass to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, why not? That could be cool. He's really good friends with Deshaun Watson. I wrote a column about that when they drafted him, that those guys are really, really close. And Deshaun actually had, some significant input in the construction of the quarterback room. I mean, he's surrounded by a really strong support team in there, and I think that's going to be very helpful for him. He's very close to Joshua Dobbs, very close to Joshua Dobbs. They go all the way back to high school. They've worked out with Quincy Avery for years together, and now you've got another really good friend in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and I think it's going to be a room where Deshaun has camaraderie, where he has friendship, where he has laughter, where he has people that kind of understand him, and then there is some crossover and some carryover in skill set. So I like what they're doing in the QB room.
Mary Kay, tell me a little bit about my Buckeyes. Ronnie Hickman signed as an undrafted free agent, Tanner McAllister, and then I also want to hear about, I think his name Cam Mitchell, a G News boy. How is he looking? Is he working in the slot at that nickel position?
He definitely can work in the slot, and they will cross-train all of their guys. They're going to cross-train their safeties and their cornerbacks to be able to play in the slot. So any of those concerns that Greg Newsome had about just having to be in the slot all the time, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think that Jim Schwartz will find ways to use other guys in the slot. So, once again, Cam looked good. He looked the part. He's got the the physical tools, and you can see that. You can see guys that if they make a mistake in a rep, then they can come back and correct it. And he was able to take the coaching really well. He was into it. He looked to be in good shape. Those other Ohio State guys, I did not watch them as closely as I did a lot of the draft picks. We're only out there for 2 of the 3 days. And so I was really focusing in on a lot of Dorian, a lot of Cedric, a lot of Dawand, some Cam, Siaki. So I can't honestly say that I watched, the Buckeye undrafted rookies all that much. But we will have, more opportunities to see them as the offseason goes along.
How you doing, Mary Kay? Quick question. Can you give us some insight on how tight this D-line unit is? Because there's a lot of new pieces coming in. And can you also let us know how Siaki Ika did during rookie minicamp this week?
Yeah, the first thing that I thought about Siaki Ika was that, he just didn't look to have the weight issue that I thought maybe he would have when we first saw him. I was concerned that when he showed up, he would look like, a little bit soft around the middle and a little bit bigger than what you would want to see. And I didn't see that the way that I thought I would. I was pretty impressed. I think he's already really started to watch what he's eating. I think he's already hitting the weight room and working at making sure that he's got good weight on that body. So that's really, really good. As far as the defensive line room in general is concerned, it's a lot of guys that are going to have to get to know each other, and they're going to have to see how everything works out from a chemistry standpoint. Remember, the alpha dog in the room is Myles Garrett. He's the undisputed alpha dog in that room. So it's going to be interesting, I think, to see what the dynamic is going to be now when Za'Darius Smith comes in. I think Myles is at that point in his career where he recognizes and understands that a Za'Darius Smith can only help him. Last year, he had 16 sacks, Myles did, and nobody else had more than 3. That was not good for him. He had extra bodies on him all the time. He needs somebody else to take some attention away from him. And Za'Darius and even Obo will be able to do that. So I think that Myles will embrace this acquisition. I really do. I think he's going to see the wisdom in it. And hopefully those two guys will get along, because that's really important. What we're coming off of is a season in which Jadeveon Clowney let the whole Myles Garrett show get to him. It got to him. Jadeveon is a former #1 overall pick. He didn't want to be anyone's Robin to Myles's Batman. And, we're going to have to see how Za'Darius and Myles mesh together. But if they can get that right, I think those guys are going to be really a fearsome duo.
Mary Kay, what I was saying a little bit earlier is now with this collection of talent, for the first time in a long time, I look at the Browns as a team that has enough talent to compete with anybody. It just happens to be from week to week whether or not you're going to make enough plays or the way it goes. But I don't look at the schedule and cross anybody out in terms of saying, oh, we can't beat that team. This is going to be an uphill battle. I look at the talent level. On paper, where does this roster rank for you? I would say in the new era since the team has come back. Where do you think this talent, as constituted, where is it at in the ranking orders for you? Because you've seen a bunch of teams from the Odells, the Jarvis, all of the Baker teams. So you will be able to know based on what we see on paper.
I would say top to bottom, because they have the quarterback now. Any other time that they had Jarvis and Odell and Myles and all those great names together, they never really had the elite quarterback. So this is the best roster that they've had since 1999. I mean, you have to say that, because now you've got Deshaun Watson, you've still got Nick Chubb, you've got Myles, you've got Denzel, and think of all the pieces that they've added. Amari Cooper is one of the best receivers that I've covered here. Then you add in, obviously, Elijah Moore. Now you add in Cedric Tillman. You've got Marquise Goodwin. You've got David Njoku, who's still getting better and coming up the learning curve and doing a really nice job. I think his potential is very great this year. So this has got to be the best roster. I mean, they have completely overhauled this defense. They've overhauled this whole entire defense, especially the defensive line, which they needed to do. And now it just all has to come together. Because like you said, when you have it on paper, that's great. It's wonderful to have all the talent on paper. But we've seen many teams before that have plenty of talent on paper. It has to come together. It has to come together through coaching, through scheme, through injuries, staying healthy, sometimes strength of schedule. Quite often, strength of schedule is a huge factor. And this year, they're about right in the middle of the pack. If you go not by last year's records, because those really could get thrown out the window when you have guys like Aaron Rodgers coming into, onto your schedule. But if you go by projected win totals for 2023, which is what Warren Sharp of Football Outsiders uses, they're about the middle of the pack in terms of strength of schedule. So I think they have everything it takes to get it done and to contend for a playoff spot and more. But it has to come together out there on the grass.
Mary Kay, out of all the Browns' new dog logos, which one was your favorite?
Oh gosh, the one on the left-hand side, the bottom. It was sort of, it was more like sort of a more simple one, but it still had a little bit of a snarl to it, a little bit of a meanness to it, but it didn't have too much going on. So it was sort of simple, which keeps in line with the Browns theme for these sorts of things, but yet I still thought it had a little bit of nastiness.
Earl, do you have that graphic with the 5 choices?
Actually, we're getting it right now. Give us 1 second.
Because Mary Kay, the one that I liked, I think it was dead in the middle.
The one with the CLE.
It had the CLE kind of hidden in the neck folds. I don't know if you caught that or not, but I thought that was a nice, clever little touch to that Clevelanders would appreciate. I
did not notice that. But perhaps if the other one wins, they can stick a little clee in there somewhere.
I like what you're thinking there. Okay, when you said that, when I heard you say that this has to be the most talented roster, and then you start ripping off those names, I don't even think there's a dispute that this is on paper. The The problem is we've had rosters with big names on it. You mentioned the Odell and the Jarvis, and even though they were missing the piece at quarterback, you still had, a Pro Bowl defensive back in there, and of course Myles Garrett in there. But what do they need to make sure happens so they're not a paper tiger? So they can transfer all of this talent on the paper and put it on the field. Is that Jim Schwartz? Because we were talking about his influence earlier and how he might be the guy that everybody rallies around.
Well, it's not just Jim Schwartz because they've overhauled the offense too. It's got to be Kevin Stefanski calling the right plays and the right game plan for Deshaun Watson. I think that all eyes are going to be on Kevin to see how he knits this whole thing together. They have 4 new pass catchers. I mean, that's a lot of guys, and that has to come together. They're going up against some offenses that for the most part, have been together for a while. Now, when you look at Lamar Jackson, he's got a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken, our old friend Todd Monken. So things are going to be different over there. They're not going to be going out and picking up where they left off either. But the Bengals certainly are, and then the Steelers will be building on what they did last year. The Browns, on the other hand, once again, they've got 4 new pass catchers. Deshaun has never started a full season for them yet, and so they've got a lot to pull together on that offense too.
Let's leave it like this. Give us what you're hearing about Deshaun Watson, how he is, the work he's doing, the trip, any nuggets that you have on Deshaun Watson that can sort of help get us excited here.
Well, the one thing that I've seen about Deshaun from the minute he showed up on the doorstep last year, I would watch him, after practice, even in training camp, go down to the far goalposts and just work on his footwork over and over and over and do these agility drills. He has a work ethic like you guys cannot even believe. He is a perfectionist. He's always working on something. And I think that he's going to do whatever it takes to get it right. He's not happy with the way that last year went. He's got these guys working out with him in Houston. Now he's taking them to Puerto Rico this week. So, he's doing everything that he possibly can. And really, that's all you can ask for.
Worked for me. I'm excited. Obviously we want to see results. We want to see it on the field because we know that he was working hard last year. We know that he was doing everything he could on his own when he was by himself, and then once he was folded back into the team. And we just didn't see the results through 6 weeks. It was very up and down. More of it was probably down than up. What's the way that that's being explained by the organization as to why he looked so rusty?
Well, I think it's pretty easy to see what that was all about. They had to put so many eggs in the Jacoby Brissett basket to make sure that they had something to hand over to Deshaun. So you had, guys like Amari Cooper and all these guys really, really working hard on their chemistry with Jacoby, and they had to run a game plan that was suited to his skill set.
Right.
Well, Deshaun's a completely different quarterback, and then the timing doesn't happen overnight, and he didn't really have time to get reps. Even in the couple weeks that he was back before he started, they were still working with Jacoby most of the time. So, he just didn't have the time to kind of get it together with his guys. And then you saw young guys that really weren't necessarily ready for the kinds of things that Deshaun offers on the football field. Those are things that are going to have to be worked on really, really hard in the offseason and preseason. Learning how to run those sight adjustments, learning how to stay alive and relevant for when he's off script and off schedule. And then the other thing that I've been saying over and over and over again, he's going to have to just find some guys that you just have that, what you can't coach, that natural chemistry with, that natural camaraderie that just sort of presents itself on the field, where you just like a guy and he likes you out there, and it just happens together. And he didn't really have the opportunity to find that last year.
Mary Kay, I was sitting here and I just had an epiphany. It happens quite often, believe it or not. But so I was sitting, obviously I did the Browns radio network last year. I did the post game. So I dealt with the callers. I had to do a lot of therapy sessions last year. But one of the main issues was that they felt Kevin Stefanski, didn't have a pulse on the team. He was so into the plays that he never looked around. Do you think them going out to get Jim Schwartz and Bubba Ventrone is what's the word I'm looking for? An answer for him to be able to continue to look at his playbook and not have to worry about addressing other parts of defensive special teams because those guys are good enough to do it themselves.
Yeah, well, certainly he is not going to have as much involvement in those two aspects of the football team this year. My goodness, you don't really have to interfere too much with Jim Schwartz or with Bubba Ventrone. So certainly Kevin Stefanski can focus way more on the offense, and some of the big picture, but these guys are going to have it nailed. They're going to have it now. They will have their growing pains. It's going to take a while for everybody to figure out, okay, what does Jim Schwartz really want us to do on this defense? But it actually sounds fairly simple. The coaching points seem simple. For the defensive line, it's going to be find your way to the quarterback, find a path to the quarterback and get there and be disruptive as much as you can. And by the way, play the run after you do that. So, so I think, that's going to go pretty well. I think Kevin will have plenty of time, to focus on getting this right. And I think Deshaun Watson will have a ton of input in how things go on the offense and what's getting called. And I think there's going to be constant communication. And he doesn't have any limitations. Deshaun doesn't have any limitations. So, it's not like Kevin has to worry about, can we throw the long ball, or can we throw on the run, or can we run the no huddle or the RPO or whatever the case may be. He can do anything. It's an open book, and those guys just have to work together to make it pop.
I'm never one to wish the summer away, but right now I wish it was September 10th, an hour to kick off. I can't wait to see this group in action. Mary Kay, excellent stuff. Thanks, as always. Enjoy your summer. I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys.
You bet. Yeah, she's so well informed.
Are you saying that the Browns are going to win their season home opener, which hasn't happened?
I'm saying they have a chance.
How many?
I'm saying they have a chance.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is it a strong chance?
I'm saying they have a chance. I still
Duke
think
and
they'd be
knee
the
jerks.
underdog. They will be an underdog.
Duke and knee jerks. Will the Browns in the home opener drought?
See, this is the great thing about it. They when you make moves, you can get rid of knee-jerk reaction. Because if I say the Browns can win the game, is that a knee-jerk reaction? No, it's just, that's a fact.
When you look at the roster and you put it next to the Bengals, obviously the Bengals have some clear advantages.
But I'd rather play the Bengals first game because they still trying to figure out. I mean, last year they weren't getting this thing.
No, I know, and we've beaten the Bengals 5 straight times in Cleveland. In fact, the only quarterback that Burrow has beaten, and he's seen a number of Cleveland Browns quarterbacks, is Deshaun Watson. Yep. That's interesting. I had said Friday when we were talking about the schedule, the NFL didn't do us any favors. I thought, they gave us 4 or 5 at home, but it's not like we're seeing Seattle and Houston and Indy at home. These 4 or 5 that are home are tough games. Yeah. So I believe that just like it is most seasons, it definitely was last year, the tone will be set after week 5. You'll have a good idea. Now, you could be 2-3, you could be 3-2, but what you can't be is 1-4. You cannot be 1-4 because you've only got 5 home games left for the remaining 12.
It's now back where Jay said it. It's back when all these little things happen, and you always start back at 1, right? I said, who sang that song? That was Brian McKnight. Start back at 1. Stop going to prom on them songs, by the way, too, man. They play that at every prom.
Before my time.
Before my time.
He has no idea what we're talking about.
You gotta, man, they can't beat the classics, man.
But I will say it's now back to what Jay said a couple years ago. Now there's no excuses, right? You got the pieces, you got the parts, you got the receivers, you got the defense. Now you're going to see if they got the guy.
We have the right leader?
It's the quarterback.
That's literally what they did.
It's the quarterback. Everything is set up for you, big dog. Everything is here for you.
It's not even the quarterback. That's not how they did it. They did it. Last year it was a bunch of teams that went out and, went and got a bunch of wide receivers, bunch of running backs. Philadelphia did it. Detroit did it. We're going to find out if the quarterback is the answer. If not, we'll address it in the draft. What the Browns have done is we have addressed every position. If it doesn't work this year, it's only one person to blame, and that's the head duck.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Literally what they did. We got everything that you need. If it don't work out, you are the problem.
When you go to the grocery store and you go to an elite market, and you're buying the freshest ingredients you can get, and they're all on point, and then you hand them over to the chef, and he serves up a pile of, you know what? It's not the ingredients.
Yeah.
It's the guy that's mixing them together.
You overcook that steak and you cut it too soon. You got to leave it on the chopping board and let it marinate.
Let
Those
it
juices soak in there. Then you cut it, see you novices.
All right, speaking of marinate, I cannot let this marinate any longer, man. So we got our question of the day, and every time we ask the internet is brought to you by PCC Air Force. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Air Force, the lead manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Air Force in Eastlake, Menor, Whitcliffe, and Minerva are hiring right now for positions starting at $18 an hour and up. So go get full benefit package, paid times off, and sign a bonus. Just go apply at precast.com/careers to learn more. So we asked the internet, was Za'Darius Smith the missing alpha dog? And we got 610 votes with 80% saying yes, 19% saying no. We also got 2 super chats. One from Cole S. says they still have Jordan Elliott listed as a starter, still a gap. And then Michael Ribovich, I apologize if I did not say that right. Jay, you should share your friend's parlay to the coaches tier. I don't know what sportsbook he uses, but I know that FanDuel lets you share a link to your bet. So we're going to talk about membership.
I need to ask him what he uses. I think it is FanDuel, actually.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, me and you are going to talk about how to give memberships in the second.
Yes,
but before we do that, let's roll this video from you all talking about membership.
Okay, great.
Attention, all Cleveland sports fans.
Are you tired of missing out on exclusive content and behind-the-scenes conversations?
The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show has got you covered.
For less than $2 a month, you can become a starters tier member. You get custom emojis and badges that other people don't have.
Or upgrade to the big-time coaches tier. For less than $5 a month, you get all the exclusive overtime content, things that those other suckers are not getting. Don't miss out on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show experience.
Don't forget, as G. Bush always liked to say, the $4.99 is the baller tier, no doubt. But there's also a free membership. Just hit that like button, subscribe.
It goes far.
It's wildfire.
Think about it.
Spreads everywhere.
We got 1.6. We've at points during the chat. Shout out to the chat, by the way. Y'all be killing it.
Are they hot today?
On the Big Browns Day, we've almost eclipsed 2,000. So 2,000 people in here at once. So shout out to you guys for showing up on a Browns React Day. But that means we should have 1,600 likes.
Go ahead and hit the like right now.
Hit the like button for your boy.
Do it in tandem.
Free.
Do it in tandem right now.
If you're watching, you're getting this content, you're loving it, obviously, because we've been at about 1.7 for about, a whole hour.
That is a big number.
Hit that like button for your boy so everybody else can join in the fun.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
speaking of memberships, Jay, I know a while back you asked about how to give memberships.
Yes.
Well, I'm sitting here last week working, and I decided to give our beautiful UCSS family some membership. So this is what you got to do.
Okay.
From your own YouTube page, you go to our page, subscribe, and then you become a member. And once you become a member, you can give memberships and sets of.
That's how you do it. Okay, great. So you become a member, then you can gift memberships in the chat.
Absolutely.
And those are randomly assigned to other members.
Absolutely.
Or other
just people that's
watching.
not members.
Yeah, that are in the chat. Right? You have to be in the chat. Okay, very good. Because we had asked that a number of times, like, how can we gift memberships if we want to gift our own memberships, which I do. Now I know how to do it. I'd looked before, and I didn't see where you could do that. So if anybody is in the chat and they are a member and they want to gift memberships, it's $1.99 a month.
And right on cue, shout out to Cody Clark, who just gifted 5 memberships.
There you go.
That's what I did last week.
That's awesome, man.
I'm going to say this right
just
here.
like that.
That's
I think
really
starting,
cool.
starting now, every month, I think I'm going to give 5 memberships. Just once a month.
Very smart.
If I can afford it, I might give 5 more.
Yeah.
They pay. You got a raise.
That's nice. I like that, Earl.
Hey,
that's
got a raise.
That's the kind of dude Earl is. By the way, Earl, I want to embarrass you for just a second and give your daughter a shout out. Earl's not the only superior athlete in the family. And if this keeps up, my son's going to have to start recruiting her, okay?
Yeah, you better.
My son was at the Big Ten Championships this week, and we were talking. He says, I'm always – because I see some talent locally, and he says, I need some sprinters. I need some jumpers.
Yeah.
So we got to talk, bro.
Yeah, we definitely
got to talk. And let me tell you, there'd be no better hands for your daughter to be in than you met my son.
I've already told her about it.
He's doing
You're
big
gonna
things
meet
at
her
that
once the
program.
school year ends.
All right, very good.
But before we
Rutgers
move
is a
forward-
fun place too.
Before we move forward, we got to let you know that the 12 o'clock hour is sponsored to you by Call It Companies Championships. Now, before I get into the Call It read, shout out to Matt Call It. Shout out to Call It Racing. I know we don't do race reports anymore, but Kyle Larson jumped in the 10 car, won the Xfinity race at Darlington. I think Chandler Smith finished 8th in the cup race. So it was a great weekend.
That's
at
a
Darlington
huge
for our guys.
weekend for Matt.
So make sure you see your favorite golf legends playing in the Call It Companies Championship July 12th through the 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. Fun, family-friendly events all week long featuring a new fan zone experience, free attendance for kids, and concerts every night. There's something for everyone. So learn more at callitgolf.com.
They had to tell me to shut up last time, Earl. I was like, yeah, listen, I talked to big homie Matt. Matt Calling. We're going to be down there on stage. They was like, G-Bush, shut up. Shut up, G-Bush.
Hey, man, hush your mouth. Hush your mouth right now.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. We didn't say nothing about you being there.
If Matt has his way, we'll be there.
I had to go join the chat because I'm looking at all these comments. I'm like, who is it? It is you.
What are you doing, Tyvis?
I said I pronounced his name wrong, but it's cool, though. So now you're rallying up everybody in the chat. Please start me out, guys.
Wait. I believe you might have called him Travis.
I called him Travis.
And I was going to
He
say,
put something in the
it's
chat.
Tyvis, but I said, no, you deserve that. You deserve that.
I say his name's Travis. I like your code name.
Wow.
Well, in fact, I think I might start calling him Travis.
Right. It just flowed so much better.
We know who you talking about, man.
It came out so much
I knew who you
easier.
was talking about.
That is the coldest subtweet I've seen in like it was in real time. Like it was like, check the tag.
Why'd he go rally up the chat? We were gifting out memberships to people in the
No,
chat. This in there.
no. This happened. I literally just typed that when G. Bush said, shout out to the chat. I had pulled my phone up and then I had just typed it in the chat.
Yeah, there it is. I'm laughing right now at it right now. Yeah, subtweet.
So,
Travis.
Jay,
Yeah.
the Guardians win the series this weekend over
Yes.
the Angels. We
Yes.
scored 16 runs. I went back and looked. The last two series combined,
Yeah.
we only scored 10 runs.
I know it.
Is the offense coming around?
Josh Naylor's coming
I'm
around.
telling you.
Josh Naylor's, I mean, he basically, he accounted for more than half of those runs.
Yeah.
So I can't say that the offense is coming around because the offense looks abysmal, terrible, awful. I can't believe.
Hold on, Jay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bull just texted me, no lie, no cap. G. Bush, you got to say bad job out of the Angels for taking out a right-hand pitcher and putting a left-hand pitcher
When they did that, I said, oh, God, he doesn't know how bad he is against lefties.
Yeah, listen, he takes him out and puts the right-hand pitcher in, and Naylor's like, yeah, I'll take that. I'm going to go
Guys,
yard.
I don't think I have ever seen this before in my entire – I'm a baseball fan above everything else. I have never before seen in a 3-game series one player, the same guy,
3 out of 4.
hit – they were all, I think, 3-run homers all in the 8th inning, and all of them gave the Guardians the lead. Why the Angels decided to make a move, and I know, you want to rest your starters, you want to watch his pitch count, but he brought in a righty to face Naylor. Naylor is not like he kills righties, by the way, because he doesn't. Yeah. But his average against lefties is well, I actually made a note of his splits yesterday when I was watching this.
You know what's interesting?
What?
As I had that same problem in my little league. I couldn't hit a left-handed pitcher to save my life.
Well, you understand why, right? Are you left-handed batter?
No, I'm a right-handed.
Oh, well, you should slay left-handed pitching.
I couldn't do it.
So
give
them the reason why lefties don't traditionally hit well against lefties.
Okay, so if you're a lefty and you're in the box and I'm a lefty, I'm coming at you and you don't get a good sight line of the baseball, and it's the same side. I can pitch you in, and you don't get to see the baseball. Whereas if I'm a righty and you're on the left side, you see my glove separation, you pick up the ball right away. It's all about seeing the baseball. You want to see it as soon as you can. So the second there's separation, if you see that ball, now you know you're ready for it. Then you're looking for it to come out over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a good, clean look at it. If you're lefty and you're on that side, right now you're seeing it. Yeah. You're seeing it well, like a beach ball. But if I'm coming at you from this way and my body is shielding the ball, and then all of a sudden it's just out and at you, you don't have time to pick it up.
And that's not the same
That's
way.
why
It's not the same way for righties
it
versus
is.
righties.
Yeah, no, it is.
But
my splits against righties were always I was pretty much the same, but I was a little lower against right-handed pitching. I love left-handed pitching. Give me lefties all day long.
You know what it was though? I was young. It was his mechanics. He had this big leg kick.
Okay,
he
that
used to
might
do.
do it.
And
Or-
it threw me off like, whoa, what is he
The other
doing?
reason that young kids may struggle against lefties, even though they're righties, they're just not used to it. They don't see
That's
it.
true.
So
True.
that used to throw a lot of the guys that I played with when I was younger. They would say, "I just don't like it, man. I'm not used to it." And I would say, it's to your advantage that he's coming from the other side. You can see it better.
I'll have you know, we played him about 4 times in the season. He struck me out every time until it was do or die, Jay. Playoff baseball.
And then you came up big.
I hit that thing and
Oh.
had like a 2-run RBI.
So
to
your
win.
money then is what you're saying.
In crunch time, it's just something about
Yeah,
winning
there's
clutch
just a
moments.
switch. Travis just becomes money.
I hate you.
So I like it. Doesn't it just flow better?
Dude, he is now Travis to
And
me.
I hope you know I wasn't doing that on purpose.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
you know,
no,
but
of course not.
it's just funny. I got a text from my guy back there. He said, by the way, his name is Tyrus, not Travis. I'm sitting there like, oh my God. But
Travis Fry, man.
Travis.
yeah, I would have given
Travis.
a shout out to the Guardians as well for this win.
Yeah.
Because funny enough, I was sitting in Applebee's. They were down 6-2. Service was slow. All the bartenders are sitting there watching the game, not asking people do they want drinks, refills, nothing. I'm just sitting there like, oh, Guardian. Naylor comes up, hits that 3-run home run, and starts the avalanche. The rally is in full
here
effect.
we go. Here we go.
The drinks start coming out. My boneless wings come out. My food is tasting good.
All flats?
I got boneless, so I didn't go all flats this
boneless.
time. Yeah, so food's tasting good. The waitress comes up. She's happy. She's in a good mood now. She's like, I'm going to give you your dessert for free since we were taking so long. So shout out to the Guardians.
Nice.
When the Guardians are doing good, life is good. So
Yeah.
let's keep it going so I can get some more free food.
know,
That's
I
really
hear
all
that.
I
If I
want.
was Shohei, I request a trade. They tanking on purpose. He should
You know-
request to come to the Guardians.
I wish. I cannot understand why this Angels team, they're above 500 this year.
they're above 500.
They've
I
had
don't
no
understand it.
success.
don't
I mean, for a
understand
while it was Trout and Pujols, even
Yep.
though Pujols was at the end of the trail.
Yep.
Now the last couple of years it's been Shohei and Trout.
Yep.
And that alone, if you just sprinkle in, now the starting pitching they got yesterday was tremendous.
Yeah.
In fact, the Angel starting pitcher and the Guardian starting pitcher, Bybee, were high school teammates together.
Crazy.
And
they
they were
probably struck
pitching
out
their asses off.
everybody.
Bybee had a perfect game going into the 5th. And then he gave up a base hit, but then they got a double play, a fluky, weird double play. So he had faced the minimum into the 7th inning.
That's crazy.
He went to the 7th?
The first, in 6 innings, he faced 18 guys. 18
keep
up,
saying
18
that.
down.
I keep saying that is the only way to guard. That's the recipe. The starting pitcher has to go 7 because the bullpen has just not been that good.
They've not
now,
been
don't
what
get
they
me
were
wrong.
last year.
They probably will get there as the season goes on, but right now the starting pitcher has to go 7.
Well, I think Clase's ERA doubled
Clase,
over the weekend.
he-
He looked terrible.
Yeah, I'm about to say he got 14 saves, which is the most, but he got 4 losses, which is the most.
Yeah.
But
So-
Earl, you asked the question, and it just goes to show you, like, the whole outlook on the season, the whole outlook on the game changes when you can get some power. Like,
Yeah.
like just look at the feeling you got, right? And it's so crazy. Naylor became the first player in the expansion era since '61 to hit a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning or later 3 straight games.
Okay, so I told you I'd never seen it happen. I didn't
Ever.
look it up.
Yeah,
but
that-
I couldn't remember when that happened and why in the world the Angels decided to bring in a right-handed pitcher to pitch against him is, I mean, that is negligence. That is just
At the highest
dereliction of duty by the Angels manager. It was good they won 2 of 3. Your question, Earl, are the bats back? It's too early to announce that. I will say this, though. Oftentimes when a whole team slumps together, a whole team streaks together. And sometimes it just takes a spark.
Yeah.
So
What's our current record now?
I think we're 18 and 21.
So he's 3 under.
I believe. Let me check that. I
Maybe
don't wanna
19
be,
and 21.
It could be.
And what's the Twins?
The Twins are, I think, 4 games ahead of us.
Do I have to root for them by default? Because I'm here.
You do.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
sure
do.
That was part of
now
the
that you're one of us.
Okay.
Yeah, now that you're one of us.
Because he said,
they are 19 and 21.
He said, what's our record? And I looked at him, but I got you.
19
And
Go Guardians.
the good news is the Twins aren't running away with anything. We're 3.5 games out.
Okay.
But here's the deal. You've got, and this scares me because I want them to keep Shane Bieber. I really do.
Man.
But I don't think they're going to sign him. We've seen what's happened when the pitchers have birthed these Cy Young worthy pitchers. They always let them walk. They never bring them back because it's too punitively. It costs too much.
He's going to the Dodgers.
So he's going somewhere. So the question is, do you trade him now when he has more value, or do you hold on to him and make another playoff run? And my guess on this is they're going to let the standings tell the story. If the Guardians are sniffing first place around July 1st, then you can't move them. Because you can't imagine winning a playoff series
Oh, really?
without Shane Bieber as your number one.
So, so do that with Ohtani, with the Angels.
Well, Otani's a free agent this year, right?
So do they move?
I think
after this season.
If they're in playoff contention and they're winning, do you move him or do you?
If you're smart
Let him
and you're
walk
the
for free.
Angels, you move him because
Okay.
the price tag for him. I've been hearing $500 million.
Yeah.
I heard the Dodgers might enter the fray at $600 million and just drop the mic and say, "Come on, come cross town, trade in your Angels uniform for a Dodgers uniform." He'll end up likely with the Dodgers. But now we talked about it on this show. If you're the Guardians and he is on the market and you're still around first place July 1st, I say you go big or you go home. We saw the Cavs go big with Donovan Mitchell. Didn't work out, but they did it. They have him under control 2 more seasons. We saw the Browns do it with Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
If you were to add Shohei Ohtani to this team, who, by the way, our roster, our starting rotation now, Bibby's the real deal.
Who are you willing to give up?
Whatever they got down there, all the middle infielders.
It'd be quicker to tell you who I wouldn't give up.
You think that they just gonna let? They gonna take?
We've got pieces in the minor leagues that we could put together a really nice package and get Ohtani in here. And it's really a 2 for whatever. You're getting one of the game's best hitters, and you're also getting one of the game's best pitchers.
That's crazy.
And so could you imagine a 5-game series?
What if it's Jimenez? You got to give up.
I don't think they would take Jimenez because we just signed him to a big deal.
Yeah.
So they want pieces. They want young pieces with a lot of control that don't cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a lot of those. We've got a lot of those.
There's Rocchio.
Right now, Gabriel Arias, we're trying to let him win a spot.
Right.
He hasn't done it. You know who I'm intrigued by is Bo Naylor. I think, check this for me, I think he's got 9 or 10 home runs in Columbus.
Yeah.
Really?
That's half our total for the team, for the season.
Well, it's the Clippers, so.
Hey, I don't care. He's doing it at AAA level. I think he's got 9 home runs.
And Zunino ain't talking about nothing.
Listen, I've seen enough. I've seen enough.
At the beginning of the season, it was, we got one.
He started out hot.
And now he got all these pass balls.
And it's the strikeouts. No, it's not just that anymore. It's the batting average and it's the strikeouts.
But that's the whole team, though.
No power.
The whole team.
If Bo Naylor can handle the defensive duties, and that's the big question, I would call Bo Naylor up and I would move on from Zunino.
Y'all turned the page fast,
Yeah.
don't you? Y'all probably want to get rid of JB.
Jay, I got it.
What's he got?
He's batting .256 with 32 RBIs, 9 home runs, 34 hits, and he scored 28 runs.
That is really good.
No, that's insane.
That's really good.
That's insane.
Is this Pudge Rodriguez?
Bo Naylor.
There's a difference between.
That's Josh's brother, by the way.
There's a difference between AAA and the major.
There's a huge difference.
Okay.
Yes.
But there's a reason they had him up here last year during the playoffs, right?
That's true.
Usually that kind of stuff transfers. You don't see a player kill it at AAA and come here and just can't figure it out. I mean, it does happen, but by and large, a player's stats in AA, AAA, they tend to at some point, once they're familiar with Major League pitching, they tend to duplicate that at the big league level too.
And it makes even more sense now that you say if they're gonna not even sign Bieber, why would it make all the sense in the world to go big at the deadline and get Ohtani, and then at the end of the year Bieber's out?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because this might be when the window is most open. If you imagine you're going into a starting rotation, you're going into a 5-game series. Now, Tristan McKenzie is supposed to come back soon.
Mm-hmm.
if you had a front three of Bieber, Shohei Ohtani, and Stick, you probably have the top 3 rotation in Major League Baseball, or real close. So you can throw even in a 7-game series, and you've got Tanner Bybee, who I know he got roughed up against the Tigers in his last outing, but he's had some outings. He's only pitched 4 times in the big leagues. He is the guy. He's got 95 on the gun, and yesterday he was sitting at 95. It wasn't like he was flirting with it. He was, because a lot of times a guy will hump up. He humped up in the 7th inning and went 96. So he was living at 95. He had pinpoint accuracy. His changeup was wicked. Everything was working yesterday. That's how good he can be.
So is he, in about 2 seasons, is he going to be better than Tristan McKenzie?
I believe he can. His ceiling is what Tristan McKenzie's ceiling is. That's just my humble opinion. Okay. And by the way, I believe that's a front of the rotation guy who can flirt with a Cy Young.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about it is I was surprised and pleasantly surprised that he bounced back from a bad start.
I did
because
too.
the thought process was that we don't want to bring them up here, get them up here, and get their confidence shaking because they get knocked around, lose control, and all of a sudden they're back in. But he bounced back with that performance. I'm saying he's the real deal. Yeah. So like you said, if you throw him in the 4 slot and you get a little bit healthier, and Ohtani's going to give you a bat on top of it. But the Guardians ain't gonna do it though.
Nope.
No, I don't think they will. But I said the standings will tell us what's going to happen with Bieber. If and we've been lucky so far, the Twins haven't done this. But if the Twins hit a run and they get hot, and we look up and all of a sudden we're 9 games out, I think Bieber's starts in Cleveland are dwindling. He's supposed to start tonight again. But I think if you start looking at that lead ballooning to close to double digits, and we're close to July, that's where teams that maybe thought they were going to either stand pat or be buyers quickly become sellers. Because you cannot risk getting nothing for Bieber. You can't risk, holding on to him until the last year of control like the Guardians did with Lindor. Now, the Guardians got a haul for Frankie.
Yeah.
They got the middle of their infield.
Yep.
And they've already signed Jimenez to a long-term deal, and I don't know what's going to happen at short. I don't know what they're going to do there, if they're going to sign him, or they've got another kid in Columbus. Their shortstop in Columbus is hitting the hell out of the ball. He's probably going to come up soon. So there's kids in the pipeline ready to go. And
are you willing to trade them all for
I'm ready to trade a host of them.
Yeah, a whole slew.
If you give me Shohei Ohtani and this team starts to hit, you give me Ohtani, and we've got Bieber, McKenzie, Logan Allen has looked great.
You don't think they will want Bieber in the trade?
No, they're not going to want Bieber because Bieber's a free agent too. They want young kids that they can control for a long time.
They could compete with anybody. It would just go back to the Browns. That roster with Ohtani could compete with anybody.
Yes.
You wouldn't go into a series being scared.
I wouldn't be intimidated of the Yankees,
Nobody.
The Astros, anybody. If our starting 3 are Bieber, McKenzie, and Ohtani, I'll guarantee you that would send shockwaves through Major League Baseball.
Well,
all that being
ain't
said,
gonna do it.
I still don't think they ain't gonna do it. But hey, a guy can dream. Because the way I look at it, I'm 57, okay? Right. And my time's ticking.
Yeah.
And really all I want is one before I'm done. That's it. I want a Guardians championship before I leave this world.
Go ahead, Aaron.
All right, before we continue, man, the 12 o'clock hour that's brought to you by Call It Companies Championship. See your favorite golf legends play in the Call It Companies Championship July 12th through the 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. It's fun, family-friendly events all weekend long, including a new fan zone experience, free attendance for kids, and concerts every single night. There's something there for everyone. Learn more at callitgolf.com. All right, so we're going to switch gears here. Real serious topic. So we all wake up yesterday and we see reports of Morant for the second time in about 2 or 3 months is on Instagram Live flashing a gun. He's ruining it, Jay, right before our lives.
I hate it. The guy is so talented. And we are watching in real time as a young, talented athlete self-destructs. Yeah. I don't know what the league is going to do. I saw one of the former players came out yesterday and said Chandler Parsons said suspend him for this season. That sounds harsh. At this point, I have to tell you, I'm more concerned about Ja Morant, the human, the person, as I am the player. The league suspending him for 8 games.
It was
a
slap on the wrist.
It was way too easy.
Yeah.
We've talked about this all the time. We saw what happened to the punt god. Okay, that's where I'm going to go with this story. Yeah, the punt god. I can't even think of his name. His nickname was the punt god.
That's
Ariza.
Matt Ariza,
something like that.
Okay, this guy, he had a punt in the Bills preseason game.
80-some
It was like
yards.
almost 90 yards.
Yeah.
His nickname is the punt god. Okay, he's the best at that position that we've seen in a very long time. There was a story that came out that he was being accused of rape. He was part of a gang rape. The Bills cut him. They cut him. He was the best player at his position, and they cut him.
Yep.
And the whole time, this kid maintained his innocence. I didn't do it. I wasn't there. Fast forward a couple of months, the season goes by. His reputation, by the way, dragged through the mud. I saw media outlets reporting on this story as if he was guilty.
Yep.
Same thing as the Duke lacrosse case. I remember being at ESPN feeling I needed to take a shower every day because I left work and I thought, we could possibly be ruining the lives of 3 young men who insist that they did nothing wrong. What came out, that the DA in North Carolina was hiding evidence. The DA knew they did nothing wrong, but he still pushed forward because it was politically expedient.
And that DA even got disbarred.
Disbarred and went to jail.
Yeah,
I believe
and went
got
to
some jail
jail.
time. But so I'm bringing all this up for a reason. When Deshaun Watson was going through he didn't have one woman say something bad. He had 26. Not only did he not get released, he got the biggest contract the sport has ever seen. And when the suspension came out, we thought it was pretty harsh, 11 games. And it certainly has ruined his reputation. We don't know that he was guilty of anything. We just know a lot of women accused him, but we don't know. In terms of the eyes of the law, the law looked at it and they didn't even indict him. And the statement is you can indict a ham sandwich. So they ruined his reputation and they ruined his last 2 years, really. Sat for 11 games last year. And then I watched the way the NBA handled the Ja Morant thing. Now, Ja would be the football version of Deshaun Watson. Am I right there?
Yeah.
A young man with unbelievable potential. He makes us say wow when we watch him. And the league went so soft on him that the message was, you can keep living your lifestyle, a lifestyle that could well end up with you dying or someone else dying needlessly. They didn't send a harsh enough message. He was suspended 8 games. They allowed him to come back, finish the regular season push, get into the playoffs. And what is he doing now? He's flashing a gun on Instagram again. And I don't think the league has any choice, guys, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think they absolutely have to suspend him indefinitely. They need to make sure he goes into counseling immediately. And here's the problem. There's no crime against who you hang out with. But the people that care about him and know him and love him are telling him it's the wrong crew. He's got to divorce himself from his crew. But you guys know that might be one of the most difficult things for a young person to do. You look like you're dying to jump in.
Where you from, bro?
South Central, Los Angeles, California.
Okay, so you're very qualified to talk on this because you know what that pull is like.
Yeah, I get it on both sides, but in the sense of where the league is going to be coming from, their stance is going to be fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me.
So you think they'll be hard?
So they're probably going to hit him with the death penalty, and it just sucks because Ja's an amazing kid, amazing player. A lot of kids look up to him because he's that young kid, the hair flowing, energy, dancing, bobbing to the music. A lot of us can see ourselves in Ja, so he has a fan base, and it just sucks that he keeps making these decisions. But he's going to have to love him from a distance, and it's tough because we come up here and sit up here and say, oh, just distance yourself or leave those people behind. But it's tough because we wasn't raised with those people. We don't have those relationships with them. We don't know what Ja has been through with those certain group of friends.
That's like family at this point in his life, right?
It's easy for the outside people looking in to gang up on him and bash him and say, leave those people alone. But he's going to have to if he wants to continue his basketball career. The people next to him that keep putting him in this position are going to have to distance themselves if they really care about Ja because he has a spotlight on him right now, and it's negative. He has Powerade, he has Nike, he has a signature shoe that I'm not sure is going to get pushed out anymore because of these unfortunate incidents. He already lost out on $39 million for not making the All-NBA, one of those teams. And who knows what his Nike contract is, his Powerade contract is, and it just sucks.
I'm sure they all have morals clauses,
Yeah,
and I'm
so-
sure that
and-
they can all argue that those are violated.
And I'm sure we're going to start seeing in the next few days, Powerade will probably pull back, Nike will stop pushing his shoes, and it's just going to suck. He's going to feel like he's backed into a corner. You know, he needs like an OG, we would say, in the hood terms, somebody to put their arm around him. You know, he has an amazing father. His dad is always at the game, smiling. All the players interact with him, but he might not be the person because their dynamic probably has changed.
Right.
His dad growing up probably was that male figure, you know, put his son in the best position possible. But now that Ja's making all these millions of dollars, his dad's probably under him. His dad probably is one of his associates or friends in a
No
sense.
longer
Like,
has
that
control
power
over
structure is not the same. So somebody's going to have to put an arm around him. You know, let's not give up on him. You know, America is the land of
Did you
second
guys see Jalen
chances
Rose?
and
Did
redemptions.
you see
and
Jalen Rose?
The interview?
Yeah.
Well, Jalen Rose had like a 3-minute monologue
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago when this first happened. And Jalen said, basically, you're living my life.
Yeah.
I've been where you have been. And young buck, you got to change your ways or it's all going to come to an end. And I just remember it was real powerful. I've known Jalen for years. Jalen is one of the realest dudes I've ever met in my life. And when he talks like that from the heart, you better listen. And I just thought Jalen might be the guy, but
He wasn't.
Ja doesn't know Jalen.
They did a sit down with each other. Because wasn't that who did the interview? Wasn't it Jalen Rose?
Was
and
this
Ja
after he did the
Yeah,
monologue?
this was
I didn't
after
see
the
sit-down.
monologue.
How did the sit-down go?
And Ja looked authentic. You know, he apologized. He said he was going to change his ways. You know, he
Clearly
said he was
hasn't.
going to get help and that he was sorry and that he kept putting the Grizzlies, his family, and people in this situation, that he was going to do better. And then look where we are now. So now he's like the girl that cried wolf, you know, and people aren't going to give him the benefit of the doubt now. And he's just going to, I wish I had the blueprint and all the answers, you know, but America's a land of second chances and redemptions. And I just hope, you know, 10, 15 years from now, we look back at this as just like a blemish on his record. He grows up, he improves, and just becomes a better person.
I would hope so.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's a maturity thing. And the thing that when I seen it, what pissed me off so bad is that, you know, this guy, he's living a lot of people's dreams, you know, a lot of people. And as I was telling people before the show started, we was in there talking about it, is that, you know, when you're growing up in the black neighborhood and you know, in the situations, you're often faced with a decision that you have to make. Typically every black male has a decision. You either go to school and play sports or you take the street life. You know, that's typically where it goes. It's at a point where you're at a crossroad. And for him, he took the crossroad of going to school and playing basketball. There is no 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
And he's trying to do
and
that,
that's what
isn't
he's
he?
trying to do. And
Right.
and is making me upset is that it's people out here that's in the streets that really live that life like that. And you fabricating it. You making it seem like it's okay and that's cool. Like you don't have to do that. You doing it because you want to do it and you think it's cool. But there's people out here that's dying every day over that life right there.
They're out there doing it because that's
what they have
their
to do.
last resort.
Exactly. So I don't like him for doing that in that situation. And I didn't like his friend. You know, his friend knows the situation that he's been in, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, he on the Instagram live, he realized he had a gun and he turned the camera off real fast." Well, if you go back and watch that same Instagram live, you know what he did before he put the camera on him? He looked right at him just like this, seen the gun, and then put the camera on him, then flashed it back.
I
that's
thought
not
so, too.
that's not no everybody that's trying to defend the friend. That's not no real friend. You know the situation that your boy is in. Why would you put him on camera for the world to see? You took something that's
Can I take it
private.
a step further, Tyvis?
What?
Why are they letting him carry a weapon
That's
in the first
true.
place?
That's true too. But you know, it's some people they'll say it's the law. You know, I'm free to carry a gun.
I know,
and
but he's not Joe Sixpack at this point.
That's true.
He's a guy who's had a history with flashing a weapon that's gotten him in trouble. If I really love him, and he's my best friend,
Yeah. Well,
I sit him down and I tell him, bro.
That's why I say you
Ditch the guns.
got to watch the company that you keep. And like I said, I'm not faulting him for having a gun. In today's society, is some of the best neighborhoods is shootings there. So I'm not. It's not that.
I know.
It's the fact
I get
that he
but-
probably needs like security or something. He needs to be the one that don't.
And a lot of
have
these guys
the gun.
have it. A lot of these guys.
He obviously don't.
Well,
Because if he did, he wouldn't have been in that situation.
Weighed in.
You know, in America, we have a gun problem. It's not the law-abiding citizens who have the guns. most law-abiding citizens as we speak. When I talk about gun safety and gun control and all those different things, I'm talking about the people that are doing this. See, they're usually the guys that are really, hunters or do things, they're not out here flashing guns, right? They're not. You don't see people. There's some people, like Earl said, there are people here who have a concealed carry, and you never knew they would have had a gun in their life.
No, it's on their hip,
it's on their hip, on their shoe, and they ain't never had to pull it. They ain't had to do nothing. Or responsible adults who have safety boxes. The gun is put up in proper spaces. They go through all the protocols. We're not talking to them, and I think sometimes that gets conflated. But what we are talking about is there's a segment of our population, and it's just not just Ja Morant. It goes to all different walks of life. There's a couple of years ago, there were people that were posing family pictures with AR-15s, like with the whole family, kids. These are prominent people. These are officials that we put in office. There's rappers that every time they in a video, they in a video and they flashing the guns, whether it's a toy gun or whether it's a real one or not. It's people flashing, putting the gun with all the money on the table. Like, we have a problem in this country with the glorification of these firearms. Mm-hmm. We are putting firearms above everything. We're putting it above kid safety. We putting it above education. We putting it above working a regular job. It don't even matter now. Even the people that get elected, the people that got money, even they want to show the guns. And you got to ask yourself, at what point in time do we have to look at ourselves as Americans and look around the country and look around the world and say, we're the only developed society and culture that does this? You go to Japan, you go to Australia, you go to they don't have these people on Instagram pointing guns. And at the end of the day, I understand that everybody has a right through the Second Amendment to own a gun responsibly. But at some point, we got to figure out, where do we stop putting the emphasis on the weapon and get back to where we talk about putting the emphasis on people? And Ja Morant is a prime example of this stuff has been put into us at a young age where we feel like it's necessary, that I have to show that and do that for me to be cool, for me to be a person of influence. It's crazy. It just don't make sense. I don't understand it.
Earl,
just don't get it.
I want to hear from you too.
Yeah, so like this really made me feel some type of way, just like Typhus, just like G. I know me, Typhus, and G actually talked about it before the show. Like, we talk a lot, Jay. I'm from the hood. Right. Typhus, you from the hood. And one of the things that really pisses me off is that you see people who didn't grow up witnessing the trauma of violence, drugs being used, drugs being sold. They buy this facade and this image of being from the hood and glorifying the hood is cool based off what you say on TV. But when you live it in real life time, when you see people get murdered, when you see people losing everything,
that's not a game.
It's not a game.
Not
it's
at all.
traumatizing. People don't understand the emotional damage or the mental trauma that you go through when you witness that. And when you play a dangerous game, you can pay some serious consequences that you can't come back from. And it's just unfortunate that this dude has worked his ass off to get to where he's at. And because you got a little bit of money, you think you can buy this facade of being from the hood when you're not built like that. That type of behavior will get you killed. And that's just unfortunate that nobody loves him enough to let him know that.
I'm glad you said that, Earl, and I want you guys to weigh in on this too, because you flashed the wrong piece to the wrong guy, and it's a wrap. And you're from South Central, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of things there. What is the love affair between the culture and the gun that we can't seem to divorce the two?
I just feel like it's always
it's been part of life.
Been a part of life. It's been glorified in the rap music, and there's a correlation between the rap music and athletes. And I don't know where it got to a point to where guns had to be the main tool that brought the two together. It used to be you seen the rappers and things like that dressing a certain way.
Right.
You would see the athletes dressing a certain way coming into the arenas and things like that. Like Allen Iverson.
Sure.
How he wore his baggy clothes and dress. He's one of the main people that brought the two together. But I don't know what his facade with this guns and this image he's trying to portray, because I know plenty of people back home where I'm from would give up that life they're living
I'm telling you.
For his
for a $200 million
That's what I'm
contract.
in a heartbeat.
And that's the
You
part
get what I'm
that
saying?
I feel
So-
like he don't understand. Like the person that you trying to be would trade shoes with you in a day. Trade it. You can have it. You want to be a gangster. You want to be a thug. You want to run these streets and do all this and do what it take to try to make it home every day. You got people that you're trying to provide for. The reason that I got to do this is because maybe I got a record. I can't get the job. I can't do the thing that you're doing
the gifts
that I
that he's
always
been
wanted.
given.
Exactly. I don't have that. So
almost
you
wasting
trying to stoop down to my level, and I'm trying to get to your level. So if you really want it, you can have it. And my thing, that's what makes me upset about it. It's like, dude, people would trade that.
I love the way
Why
you trade.
would you want that life? The thing is, you don't know everything that goes into that life. You see people, I guess Instagram, it looks cool to be able to have a gun and hang out on the block and do all that, but you don't know the everyday struggle that you got to deal with every day. You got to look over your shoulder every single day because you don't know who's trying to take you out. You got to try to provide for your family and do by any means necessary. Like, that is not a life that you really want to live. And that's what to me, I don't understand why he wants to do that. For what?
The wrong
you got $200 million. For what?
But in a way, as we sit here, right? As we sit here and we talk about it, in a way, we tell it. We are as a society. We tell them that is what they should be doing. If you look at the biggest stars in
What do you mean by that?
If you listen to the biggest stars in our culture, right? We talked about earlier rappers and correlation. We made martyrs. Tupac is a martyr. Nipsey Hussle is a martyr.
And these are guys that died on the wrong end of a gun.
Gang violence.
And
From
so
sitting in the wrong car at the wrong time.
Tupac fought a Crip. He tried to be in the thug life for real. This is a guy who went to our school, took the private route, but he decided to go do gang violence and think that just because I'm Tupac, that these street dudes ain't gonna touch me.
So when we wake up, when we grow up and we see the people that are revered, we see the people that this the Tupacs, it's the Biggies, it's the guys that was in the street life. I could go to Young Dolph, I could go to the Migos. All these guys they're in the streets. They've officially made it out so they can help their mom and help their family. And guess what? They still do things that bring them back, like shoot dice at parties. Why would you shoot dice at a party? And why don't you have security? All of these things, and it's almost as if we don't grow up and say, oh man, look at that dentist right there. Look at this black dentist. Look at this black lawyer. Look at this black, look right here. Look, and you can do something else besides dribble a ball.
You know what it is, G? You know why they don't get that stuff? Because people will say you switched up. You know, as a person growing up, that's the one thing. You changed. You got that money and now you different. And that's it's like an insult.
I imagine all three of you guys have heard that probably.
No, ain't nobody.
Nobody
Nobody said. But the thing is not that you switched up. It's that you got wiser in life. Like, I can't do. You think I'm gonna come visit my hood without security? Like, I know what y'all do here. Why would I not have somebody to protect me? Like, that's the type of It's being smarter. But people want to be so real and authentic all the time and don't want to switch up and look like they left and never came back. That they tend to do what Ja's doing.
But you gotta think about it. Once you get, I'm 41. How old is you?
29.
How old is you?
27.
When you get up in age, Earl, how old is you?
35.
When you get to a certain age, you start thinking different. If you lucky enough to make it,
That's true.
then you can wake up. But there are times, yes, you do feel bad when you 18 and you get off, you in college, and then they say you going back to the crib, and some people say, nah, I ain't going back to the crib. How difficult was it when you was 18, 19 years old to be able to say, had a maturity level to say, I'm not going to do that, right? And especially if you don't have, like you said, no guidance from the OGs saying, bro, you got a career, you got a path, don't even go there, bro. I know what it is. You ain't lost nothing. You still down. You a leader. You're supposed to come back and help us get different people together. But that's hard for you to see when you're 18, and you got to be able to live long enough to get to a point where you can start to let some of this soak in, and that's the dangerous part about it. The dude is, how many people get killed right before. I always say, man, I'd be tired of just seeing all the famous black people dying, because it don't give you no hope. You say, listen, if Michael Jackson died at 50, if Prince died at 50, if all the singers and all the basketball players and all of the rappers, they all die early, you look at yourself and say, man, you got this thing in your head like, well, how long am I gonna make it, right? Whether it's health, whether it's the environment, whether it's violence, it's all these things, and you think about it daily, and you just hope the young brother says, hey, if you're a father, he got a father.
A good one.
His father got to stop being a fan.
That's a fact. That's a fact. His father.
There's a saying that I always use with my kids. I'm not here to be your friend.
Exactly.
I'm here to be your father.
Exactly.
And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said the money power dynamic
it changes
switch.
the dynamic. So.
And now Dad's along for the ride, so he's got to be subservient because he likes this ride.
Yeah. He likes his lifestyle.
Dad needs to stand up and be a dad. I think that's one place to start because Jalen Rose can't do it.
Yeah.
Some of his teammates probably either don't have the power or the will to do it. The older guys that came before him, there's a real disconnect between a guy in his early to mid 20s and a guy in the early to mid 30s.
Yeah,
in street life, that's like you're almost dead, man. Why am I gonna listen to you? You're so old.
Yeah.
I'll say this: two things. In terms of his dad, we're looking at it from the outside. Who's not to say that he's not speaking
trying.
up?
Yep,
the
you're
mom's
right.
not trying. The dad's not trying. You can only do so much. There's probably plenty of people in this world who were great parents to their kids, and somewhere along the way they went off the rail, and the parents are speaking, and they've thrown their hands up. So,
Right.
So I just don't want to jump on T.
That's fair.
In that sense.
No, that's
and
fair.
also, that's one thing. And also, I'll say, growing up for me, I could have went one or two ways. Had the gang violence, had the drugs, had homeboys that went that way. But I love football, and I love football, and I love my mom. I was more so afraid of disappointing my mom.
Yeah.
Rather than being told, oh, you're not down, you're not cool. You get what I'm saying? So he needs to find, if it's not the fame, if it's not the money, Ja needs to find somebody or something that he cares about so much and not disappointing that he wants to change and go down the right path.
Well said.
So that's how I was raised, and that's how I live by, because I could have easily went the wrong direction. I still have friends in that lifestyle, and I'm not bigger than them. You get what I'm saying? I'm not better than them.
How do they view you?
They support me. They view me as they love me and things like that.
I've had these conversations with a lot of young guys who have left that environment, and all of a sudden they're looked at, you're going to turn your back on us now.
No. See,
you're not for the community. Because I know you and I have talked about that, G, where there is an immense pressure on young black men that come out of a rough environment that succeed to walk that dance. It's very difficult.
Believe it or not, if you got tremendous potential, it's usually an OG in every hood that's like, this ain't for you. Like you ain't. Don't mess with him. This ain't. He ain't. And he got a good life.
Really.
Yeah,
so he's sort of the godfather of the street.
He gonna make it out. Don't mess with him.
Really. I'm glad to hear that.
It's always a guy. It's an older guy that's probably an OG of the hood.
Who's been through it himself.
He gonna be like, he'll like that dude really good. Don't mess with him. Let him go ahead about his life because he gonna make it out.
So I had some mentors. I played for a park. It's in a rough neighborhood. A lot of the kids in that park, they grew up to go be a part of that gang. But the coaches, for whatever reason, I was one of the kids that he's not going to be a part of this. Like, I know all of them. We have relationships, but just you don't associate the two. So I guess that kind of got lost in Ja's case. But I know in my case, I've had some people that I look up to, grab me under their wing and say, you're going off to college. We see something special in you, so that's kind of where it happened with me.
I hope the best for the young man, but I do feel that he's probably going to get a year's suspension. I don't know how the league gets around doing it any other way, unless they do an indefinite suspension based on some certain criterion being met, like Deshaun had. Yeah. He had to go through this sexual counseling and all of that. But I hope that the league treats it differently this time. Last time they slapped him on the wrist and he was right back into the same thing. Treat the young man like you love the young man.
Yeah.
Not like you want to be his friend, not like you want to help his team, and he's doing no good for his team if he's dead.
Yeah. But what if this is who he really, if this is who he really is?
He'll show it.
You get what I'm saying?
Won't he show it?
We keep saying that he's trying to uphold an image. Maybe the image he's trying to uphold is this NBA.
And that's not who he is.
You get what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying.
They need to let him go.
Well, he gonna
let him go and do it.
Well, why not try to help him? Why not try to save him?
He gonna have to sit down.
You can only help people that want to be helped.
That's a good point.
He gonna when you sit down, some people don't understand it. You might be. I know a lot of people. I'm sure young Thug thought he was gonna go in and come out. But when they hit you with they giving the RICO out. Like, you can't just hang out with people.
No, you see
and now you getting they could look at him and say, Ja Morant, you got enough money to be a head of a crime syndicate. If any other dudes go out and do anything felonious, you the head. You the one who got the money, you got the clout. It was continuance of a gang. And they could give you 25 years to life doing RICO statutes. And guess what? When you get that,
he should have known if with the YSL thing going on, he should have known that I don't want this anyways. Because you watch Young Thug watching all the people that he loved and took care of tell on him every day.
Yep.
That dude right there.
It was
that
him.
dude right there.
It was a gang. It was a gang. Earl?
Before we do final takes, just remember that the 12 o'clock hour is brought to you by Call It Companies Championship. See your favorite golf legends playing the Call It Companies Championship July 12th through the 16th at the famous Firestone Country Club. Fun, family-friendly events all week long featuring the new fan zone experience, free attendance for kids, and concerts every night. There's always something for everyone. You can learn more at callitgolf.com. Before we get to final takes, Tyvis says something, Boogie, you said something that I personally can relate to. That when you grow up in the hood, first of all, a real OG is somebody that's trying to steer you in the right direction. And if an OG see potential in you, they will steer you in the right direction. I had an OG. His name is Rooster. Rooster is no longer alive. He's no longer with us. He was tragically murdered 2 years ago. But Rooster would see me jumping off the porch, doing things I ain't had no business, doing things that really was not becoming of me being successful. And he would always pull me to the side and tell me that you're different from a lot of people that's in this neighborhood. And I need you to go out here and be different.
Wow.
He gets killed, and we have a balloon release. His mother walks up to me and tells me 2 days before he was killed, he was in her kitchen talking about how proud of me he was and how he got a chance to see me actually take the proper steps to live out my dream. So a real OG is somebody that's encouraging you to go the right way. So if you calling somebody an OG and they ain't really pushing you right, they don't love you for real.
That's powerful stuff, and I couldn't agree more.
Because one more thing, like I go by saying, you don't have to be from your hood to put on for your hood. You get what I'm saying? And Ja Morant, he needs to understand that he's putting on for his hood by just being Ja Morant, being that success story.
Right, what
people
a great
looking
way
up to him. $200 million contract, Nike deal, Powerade deal, and he kind of gets confused with being in the hood. You don't have to be in the hood to put on for your neighborhood.
He's got credibility in
he
one
has it
realm,
already.
and he's trying to get it in another realm, and it just does. The two don't marry. They don't fit. It's going to have to be one way of life or another. You either want to live the life of a $200 million NBA superstar who's doing the right things and being the right role model for your community, or you want to live that gangbang life, which who knows how that story ends. They usually end way too early. And it's a choice. And I think his dad can help. Jalen Rose can try to help. Other, OGs from the neighborhood, hopefully. But ultimately, you said something very powerful. You can't help somebody that doesn't want helped. Yeah. And maybe this is where he is. Maybe this is what he wants to do. Maybe this is what brings him happiness. Now he thinks he's got the money piece of it. Mm-hmm. Now he wants to live that other life with that money.
Man, he don't even get it, bro. Like, you bring in that, I always say, never bring energy. Energy brings that. Even when people argue with me on Twitter, they'll call you and they'll hit you in your DM or whatever, and they'll say crazy stuff to you, right? And I'll be like, hey, man, and sometimes you want to be like, hey, bro, I ain't that famous. Like, I'll find you, bro. Like, but then I realize, I'm not that, like, but then you realize it's all, you start to think about energy. When you put that vibe out, and when you got a gun and you moving it around and you talk a certain way, that attracts a certain level of energy. Because now somebody want to come find you and see if you really about what you say you about. Yeah. They already know you rich. Bro, you got family members. Google is out here. I don't ever want to put my family in a position or my friends in a position where they might have to get the repercussions of how I'm moving. So he's supposed to have a security team around him. He ain't even supposed to be out like that, to be truthful. Because nowadays,
he's a mark now.
You are a target anyway. Like, if you in them communities, and by the way, Lil Boozy says this, shout out to him. He said, man, most famous people end up dying in the same hood that they was in.
That's a fact.
Most famous people, and they don't die out in suburbs where they got a house or they living in.
No.
They die
Coming back
in the same community because they looking at you like you. I feel you playing around with me now, Ja. You know what? Because you're a nice looking dude. All the girls like you. I might have been a man back in high school. I don't even work. I'm on unemployment. I'm living terrible. I'm living check to check. And I feel like you coming back is thumbing your nose at me. You trying to play me. You laughing at us. We out here struggling, and you right here flashing guns. Now I gotta go talk. I want to see if you really about it because they ain't where you at.
Somebody's going to want to challenge him at some point.
At some point.
And to your point, what you just said, it's like you're out here for fun. We're out here for life. This is for real. This isn't a game.
I ain't never getting out of this.
We're not playing gangster. We're not, and that's almost kind of what it seems like. I wish the best for the young man. I really do. And by the way, I want to commend you guys because in a community that needs role models, I've gotten to know you really well and you really well, and I feel like I know you really well now, especially after today and some of the things that you said. We do have young kids in communities that are in need of role models, and they're out there, guys. They're out there. This is no joke. You don't need to look to a rapper to find a role model. You don't need to look for a superstar athlete to find a role model. I can't hear that there's not a path out from a tough neighborhood that doesn't include athletics or music. Now, you guys, your off-ramp was athletics.
Yep.
You all were gifted athletically to where there was a college that came to you and said, we want to give you a free education. Now, not everybody's going to have that opportunity, but I'm sure the three of you know people from your neighborhoods that got out without a ticket to athletics or without a ticket to music. It can be done. And I think what we need to show our young people in these communities is it's possible.
Yep.
For them to dream it, it's got to be possible. And you guys, I think, are all three of you guys, I just commend you for the role models that you are, the love that you have for the communities that you come from, and I think it all comes from a good place, and I know that the three of you want to make your communities better places. We need more of you.
We just got to start broadcasting other things.
Right.
As opposed to just, you said, the music and sports.
That's what they can see.
Because that's all that they see.
So how do we do that?
So growing
With
up,
social media,
and
we
I'm
can
not,
do it that
and I'm
way.
not gonna lie. Growing up, I thought that was my only way out.
You did?
You get what I'm saying? If I would be lying and being a hypocrite to say you're right, but saying I thought otherwise. I thought sports was my only way out, and that's what kept me dedicated and on the grind and driven. Which is okay.
I agree.
Because it was something that kept me grounded and something I look forward to, and I just happened to be good at it. And I happened to have a mom that didn't play about school, so I had to have good grades to play the thing that I loved, which was sports, which got me the opportunity to get a scholarship and graduate and so on and so forth. But we have to start broadcasting the teachers. Let's not just give a Teachers Appreciation Day post, Teachers Appreciation Day week. Those are the real heroes.
Every day.
Those are the real heroes. Policemen, firefighters, ER doctors. Those are the real jobs because only 1% make it to the highest level in sports. Only a few people are going to be Grammy Award winning rappers. So majority of the people are going to have to start finding other things to look forward to and find superheroes. So we just, in the media, I don't know if it's got to be on TV, social media, we just have to start putting other fields in the limelight because they deserve it.
What I wish would happen is, I think Kevin Durant's line, we kind of laughed at it at the time.
Yep.
To me, it's become the most powerful thing he's ever done or said in his life. When he told his mom, you're the real MVP.
Yeah.
Moms in the black communities are the real MVPs. And on this, the day after Mother's Day, when we all cherish and love and recognize and appreciate our mothers, I know friends that have come from the black community who were raised by single mothers, one of 5, one of 6. Mom had 2, 3 jobs.
Yeah.
How difficult it is, and they're the guiding light in their lives.
Yep.
I think there's got to be some kind of strength in the women in those neighborhoods making their own gang, a gang of moms that instead of, so there's a gang pulling kids to the wrong side of the street, and then the gang of moms trying to pull the kids and keep them on the right side of the street. We need to elevate women in that culture more than we do. I don't think they get enough credit.
Yeah.
I went shopping last week with Shane Bieber with 2 single moms of 4 children. Both of them had at least 4 children. And in hearing their stories and their plight, like, I listen to their day and I get tired listening to what just them telling me what they do. They are the real MVPs. They really are.
Yeah, they are.
And we have to elevate them
I mean,
in a way
that's
that we're not currently doing.
That's literally the one person that every black child fears.
His mom.
Is their mom.
Right.
Mom. She puts the fear of God in every
And mom in many of these households is doing the job of, she has to be the loving, tender heart, and she has to be the firm steel fist of discipline.
It just
and that's a
sucks.
hard gear and skill set to juggle between.
It just sucks we put all the pressure on the women of the household, you know. They carry us for 9 months. They have all the pressure on them. Why not? I feel like it should be the males in the neighborhood, whether it's, even if it's not your kid, grab somebody by the hand, put them under your wing, and tell them, let's go, and I'm going to lead you in the right direction. I get what you're saying, that
I understand
the
what you're
women
saying
should
too.
be, but why the women? Why do we keep having to put the pressure on the women? It should be the male's job.
Yes.
Grab the little male or young lady by the collar, but the problem is, it used to be a saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
But now in today's world, everybody is so sensitive. Each person doesn't want you talking to their child.
That's
You know what's sensitive?
You get what I'm saying?
It's time clock is sensitive. So you got to check us
You
out.
guys were great today. I know we didn't intend to go that deep, but it was great.
Hey,
I'm glad it lives on YouTube forever so folks can watch it. And
Overtime
Listen
featuring
to that.
Anthony
Pull up.
Antonelli. Will LeBron get his 5th ring?
oh, I like that.
Boogie, we
Okay.
were talking about